Hey GAWDA members! While you're watching this, hopefully you're packing your bags for the 2025 GAWDA Spring Management Conference. We can't wait to see you this weekend in beautiful Dallas, Texas. Here to give our last SMC update for 2025 is Natasha Alexis. Natasha, what should members keep in mind as they prepare to travel to Dallas this weekend?
Sure, Steve. Thank you for having me here. We're going to have great weather in Dallas. The highs are going to be in the 80s, lows 60s, 70s. So leave your sweaters at home for those folks who are in the cooler weather. The attire for the conference is business casual. We have a super fun Caddyshack theme for the president's welcome reception and dinner. It's a short walk from the hotel, so pack some comfortable shoes. Ladies, leave your heels at home and you can show your spirit and dress in the theme. Of course, that's optional. Be sure to go to the registration desk, see Bruce there, and pick up your badges, your schedule cards, and of course, our favorite program books. The GAWDA app is also going to be available to download a week before, so you can begin planning your visits, your conversations, and planning to connect with other colleagues in the industry. Now, the Omni Dallas is located about 19 miles from the hotel. So easy Uber in, no problem. Easy navigatable city. It's right in the heart of downtown with lots to do. We want to remind members that the government is going to start enforcing this real ID for travel May 7th. They say that's the deadline. So just want to give members a heads up on that, right? So again, lots of landmarks in downtown. And don't you know that the conference is in the heart of Cinco de Mayo, the timing. So some fun options for after the GAWDA meetings. Don't skip out. We want you to be there the whole day, but lots of options. So it's going to be very active, festive while we're there. Texas is also known for best barbecue. So some good eating with your margaritas. So stay informed, look out for our emails, reach out to any of us if you have any questions, Steve. But we're excited to go back to Dallas, Texas.
Since we spoke last, there have been a couple of really exciting new events added to the schedule. Can you tell us a little bit more about those?
Sure. So we've been hearing a lot from members on tariffs, right? A lot of changes in the policies and what's happening in DC. We were able to partner with one of our sister associations, NAW, National Association of Wholesale Distributors. Their chief government officer is going to join us in Dallas, Texas to kind of present a highlight of how these tariffs and law changes are going to affect our industry, the welding and gas industry. So we're really excited about that. He did a webinar about a week ago. There were over 1,000 people in the distribution industry there, and we received some great feedback. So happy to have him at the GAWDA conference to answer questions and provide an update. So really excited about that one. Next thing, the Women of Gases and Welding have Michael Crames from American Welding and Gas speaking to all members, men and women, about how to support women in the industry, their careers, right? So that's going to happen during the group lunch time, so 12:15 to about 1:15. It's a fireside chat. Very interactive. Come with your questions and learn how to support your women colleagues, those women in your companies, advance their careers, and maybe hear about some of their concerns. So again, great topics, great additions to the program, and we're excited to offer more value to members.
Between all of the amazing speakers and of course the great networking opportunities, there will be something for everybody in Dallas. Natasha, thank you so much for joining us today. We can't wait to see you this weekend. As a reminder, the President's Welcome Reception is Caddyshack themed this year. So remember to be the ball and that gambling is illegal at Bushwood, and we encourage members to dress up in their favorite Caddyshack themed attire. We've got a great episode lined up for you today, and it all comes after a word from today's presenting sponsor, Weldcoa.
If your process requires a large volume of gas, cryogenic liquid, or supercritical fluid, we can automate it. Weldcoa engineers advanced systems that fully automate the connection between the bulk liquid supply and the application at hand. We have a proven history of designing custom systems for extractor units, CNC machines, vessel pressure testing systems, refueling systems, and more. If your process involves controlling gases, we can help. We are Weldcoa, your engineered gas control process experts.
Joining us next on today's SMC Preview is Hector Villarreal. Hector is the co-chair of GAWDA's Technology Committee. Hector, thank you so much for being with us today. The Technology Committee has now been in place for a little bit more than a year. Can you discuss the progress that the committee has made so far and the biggest topics of discussion that you've undertaken as a group?
Yeah, it's been really interesting experience. The majority of the people that are on the committee are in the IT departments for the various distributors. So this is a different group of people that I normally talk to. I've spent the majority of my career talking to people, in ops, right, or ownership, right? And so the energy level has been incredibly high. Everybody is very astute, very, in tuned into, their field. I consider myself to be, a very techie kind of person. And, they're dropping acronyms that I'm Googling on the fly because, they live in this world, right? And I am just visiting. And so it's been a great education for myself. And I think that the GAWDA membership in general is going to benefit from this because I think this is a group of people within GAWDA that, kind of are always in the background, plugging away, absolutely essential to what everybody does, but they don't get a lot of screen time at GAWDA. And so I think this is an excellent platform to educate everybody on, what they do and the importance of it.
One of the first things that you did when the committee was announced was to establish 3 separate subcommittees. Can you discuss those subcommittees and the roles that they play within the larger committee?
Yeah, so the feedback that we got from the board of directors was that everybody was very interested in artificial intelligence, right? And everybody was concerned about cybersecurity, and everybody wanted to do more e-commerce or better e-commerce, right? So those 3 subcommittees were subjects that were important to the board, and so we attacked it, from that position. And very early on, it was obvious that some members of the ecom committee or the techcom committee, sorry, were very into either cybersecurity or e-commerce, right? Depending on what their positions were within the companies. But everybody had interest in the AI because, it's the latest hotness, right? So that's where those 3 committees came from. It was, the cybersecurity, e-commerce, and artificial intelligence.
As we discussed the last time that we had the opportunity to have you on the show, there's a thirst for technology within all industries, but especially within GAWDA. And that's really going to come to the forefront during this year's SMC in Dallas, where the Technology Committee will have a starring role with an entire educational track devoted just to technology topics. Can you give viewers a preview of some of the topics that you'll be discussing during those sessions and why they shouldn't miss those great opportunities?
Well, I think it's become pretty obvious that, having a e-commerce position on your website is, if you're not doing it, you're really missing the boat. And when I took over this committee, I reached out to friends in the industry who I knew had been doing e-commerce for a while. And the responses that I got were actually very mixed. Some who were early into it felt that the return was lacking as time went on, right? Initially, there was this nice big bump, and then over time, it just kind of came down. And others who were getting into it wanted to, make sure that they did it in the most efficient way possible, right? And so, as I spoke to other experts in the field, what I found was that you need to understand that there's no finish line. There's no finish line, in ecom. There's no finish line in cybersecurity. You're always have to be evolving. And there were some companies that made initial investments in their e-com website, but but that was kind of it, and then there was somebody in the background that was trying to maintain it. And there has to be a reinvestment, and you have to walk in with that mindset that this is going to be an ongoing thing. The good news is that, and we'll talk about this on the panel, is that the tools to do so have gotten easier to use, and they've become much less expensive than they were just 10 years ago. And, people, need to understand that. And on our ecom panel, we've got a really great lineup. We've got Marissa Lee with Keen Gas, Ryan Esparza with Esprit Gas, and David Shar with Computers Unlimited. And it's a nice perspective. We've got people who have been doing it really since the beginning of ecom, and then we've got a person who is sort of new and is creating or updating a current website, and it's going to be the lessons learned. So there's going to be a lot of great takeaways on the ecom side, and I highly recommend everybody do it. It's a vital part of everybody's business, and if you're not doing it, you should be doing it. On the cybersecurity side, everybody has concerns. That the headlines, are full of horrible, horrible things happening, almost on the daily now. And here within, Weldcoa, we're always concerned about that, and we spend a lot of time and money, securing what we do. But when I was talking to the members of the committee, I was shocked at how many daily attacks are occurring and that are being prevented, and nobody knows about it. They're doing their job, and because nothing goes down, nobody is any wiser to what's going on. So we've got a really great panel on the cybersecurity. I was talking to Ryan Esparza with Esprit Gas, and Ryan has some real world, very updated experiences in protecting systems. John, who is my co-chair on the panel, John Vrana with Red Ball, he's going to be on there. And then we have two industry experts. We felt it was important to get people from outside the panel. So we've got Tom Barnes with Caster Security and Keith Johnson with Obium. And, these are companies that are constantly testing not just your security, but your staff. They're doing fake attacks to see how your team handles it and who falls, for these phishing schemes, which is always interesting. It's it's a lesson learned kind of a thing. Once you get burned, it's better to get burned by somebody that you're paying to do it than some outside, evil actor out there. So that's what's going to be on at the panels. I think it's very timely. I think people are going to walk away with a lot of information that they can use right away. I definitely think it's a don't miss.
What would you say are some of the biggest disruptors in the tech world right now, especially as they pertain to GAWDA and our members?
Yeah, it's no secret. Artificial intelligence is the big buzzword out there. Most people don't understand how it's going to affect their lives. Everybody's used to ChatGPT and typing in a question, and they think it's a glorified Google, and it is not. It's so much more. And I've told the story several times now, but it was 10 years ago. I was out of the country doing a presentation for a group of gas distributors in the Middle East. And it was the first time that I spoke about artificial intelligence. I had been following IBM's Watson artificial intelligence. And at that time, Watson had just won Jeopardy, which was unheard of. Up till then, artificial intelligence had employed to play games like poker or like chess, right? And, a lot of people at that point in time had played computer chess, and they saw, how smart the computer could be. But for an artificial intelligence to answer, random questions, that was unheard of at the time. And so I was really fascinated about it. A lot of the science journals were talking about it. And ultimately, when I brought it up at the conference, at the cocktail party that night, everybody was asking me if it was a joke, if I was, serious about it. And I was just like, oh no, I'm very serious. This technology, it's happening. You just haven't heard about it yet, and it's going to come. And at the same time, we have other technologies that are advancing at the same rate. So at the time, cobots weren't a thing, but I knew because I had visited facilities that were using cobots that they were out there. And you fast forward 10 years, and a lot of our distributors are selling cobots, and they've been very successful. Selling robotic cobots for welding, right? It's going to be the same thing with the AI. And today, right now, distributors can use that AI in their sales process, in their marketing process, in their administrative process, and the technology to use it in their warehouses. That's developing. That's the next phase. And as we get into quantum computing, when you merge the AI with quantum computing, it's going to be a whole new world. It's limited right now by its computational power, and when we make that threshold into the quantum computing, it is going to change a lot of things for sure.
Going into year 2 of the technology committee, what would you say your biggest goals are?
Well, it's kind of funny you're talking about how we're a young committee. I thought I'd have a couple of years to get everybody, to find a rhythm. And, we were formed, and then right away, the board asked us to set up these panels. And so, we were like, okay, we've got the people, we can do this. And we set it up. And I think, what the team wants to do, what the committee wants to do, is we want to put out a lot more articles, some white papers to help people navigate the complexities of cybersecurity, of e-commerce, and definitely educate people on what is usable on the AI side. Right? There's a lot of products out there. X has its AI, and of course, there's ChatGPT, and then there's Copilot and Microsoft, and Chat and Microsoft just released new versions, of their AI, and there's several others out there that most people have, never heard of, and we want to provide that education to people. So I think it's that the technology and business have always merged, and when that merge occurs, there's always winners and losers, and you definitely want to be on the winning side.
We've covered a ton of ground here today, but is there anything else that you want to leave viewers with before we go?
If you've got people on your team that are interested in technology, and they don't have to be an expert, if they just have an interest, I am certainly not an expert. I am just somebody who's fascinated by it. Join the technology committee, be a fly on the wall. You can learn a lot. The conversations that we have are incredibly interesting. And again, you don't have to be an IT expert to be part of that. So yeah, I would welcome anyone who wanted to join.
Hector, you're doing the Lord's work here. You're taking a really complex topic and you're making it really accessible. So we really appreciate everything that you've done with the committee, and we appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. I'm Marie Ratermann. I'm here as representing the Young Professional GAWDA Committee with my co-chair, Andy Reardon. And we also have Abydee Butler Moore, who is a past GAWDA president and is the chair for the Seven Springs GAWDA Regional. Thank you for joining, Abydee. We are here today to talk about Seven Springs and an amazing event that Abydee has put together as a workshop for any GAWDA member.
Hi, Marie. Yeah, we're so excited. So our company, Butler Gas, we're members in Pittsburgh of the Institute for Entrepreneurial Excellence. And at one of those IEE seminars, I sat through one of Anese Cavanaugh's seminars, and I was so blown away by her content that I followed up with her afterwards, and I said, we have to do something together. One of my volunteer roles in the industry is to organize and plan our GAWDA Seven Springs regional meeting, which this year is June 4th and 5th. And I booked Anese for the opening full half-day workshop. So a full 4 hours of content Anese is going to be doing with us at Seven Springs.
The young professionals have really put together an initiative to involve all of the regionals to create an event that brings young professionals and seasoned leaders together for all members, and not just keep it, those generational boundaries. And professional development, as we all know, doesn't have generational boundaries. It's great for everyone. So, Abby, what do you think that these leaders and young professionals are going to be taking away from this event?
Well, Anese's workshop is called Contagious Culture, Contagious You. And I know we're going to hear from her today on what she has in store. So our hope is that leaders leaving this workshop will go home with some tools in their toolkit for how to be a more impactful and more positively influential emerging leader in the industry.
Amazing. And I think when we spoke about this the first time, you mentioned how you gave the book to your father, and he he was like, "This is amazing." So it shows it's not just for one generation; it's for everyone.
So Anese, welcome, and this is going to be your first GAWDA stage. We're so excited to have you.
I am so excited to be with you. Thank you, everyone, for having me. And Abydee, I did not know that you gave the book to your dad, and I'm so happy to hear. That doesn't surprise me at all, because fortunately, it's industryless, ageless, timeless, these ideas. So thank you for validating that this morning. Just made my day.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you have in mind for the Contagious Culture, Contagious You workshop at Seven Springs and what we can expect?
Yeah. Oh gosh. Well, I am so excited to be with all of you. I am so excited to bring this work to your organization and to all these different leaders. We're going to combine. This is going to be a really special event because we're going to get to combine the concepts from Contagious Culture and Contagious You together into one big session, so that all of you get kind of the best pieces, especially with the learning that's happened over the last 5 and 10 years since those books were written. Usually, in the past when we've done this, we've done workshops for Contagious Culture to help people with their teams and their organizations. And that was the book that was originally written back in 2015. And what we found after writing Contagious Culture was that there was more work to share with people, which was really getting this idea to them that actually a contagious culture is nothing but a bunch of contagious yous working together. So contagious culture is kind of like the team, the organizational book. It's very, very good to introduce this work to, your company, especially if you're kind of like, I don't know if this stuff applies to me. But then Contagious You takes you into, how am I actually going to apply this? How am I going to show up in a way that helps me create a contagious culture? So I've handpicked different components from each of those books, previous workshops, to look at, all right, how are we going to serve this group the best? So super, super excited about it.
That's great. At your workshop, one of the things that I really recall is you talked about, as leaders, if you want to get something done, you kind of give it to the busiest person, right? That busy people are high capacity people. But yet when we're busy, if we think about the energy that being busy puts off and how someone acts. And can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I love that you're bringing that up, because one of the things you're talking to right now is the methodology that we use in this work is called the IEP method, which stands for Intentional Energetic Presence. So your intentional energetic presence is your intentions combined with your energy, combined with your actual presence. And the idea being that no matter what industry you're in, if you're at home with your kids or you're at work or you're in a sales conversation or whatever, we're constantly putting out an energetic presence. We're constantly we're communicating without communicating just by how we're showing up in that. So what we talked about in September, Abydee, was the energy of busy, and how that when we're walking around and we've got this, this presence of like, I'm so busy, I'm so busy, I'm so busy, or we're stressed out, or we're feeling really judgmental, or we've got the energy of blame, or whatever it might be, that is communicating all the time. And so even though I might say all the right things and be doing all the right things and, have this happening at this level, underneath what's communicating even more loudly is my energetic presence. And there's a way that when we're aware of that, we can actually go, okay, what is the intentional energetic presence I want to bring to everybody? What is the intention I have in this sales conversation? What is the intention I have for this conversation with my team right now? Oh my gosh, I've got to give feedback right now, and I'm actually really irritated right now. If I give feedback from that place, I'm going to have very, very negative impact. So there's a way, using the tools that we're going to talk about when we're together in June, that if I am really intentional about that, I can shift it so I show up more effectively as a leader. And then ultimately that ripples to the way that I show up in my presence, ripples to my leadership effectiveness, which ripples to my team and organizational effectiveness, which then ripples to my actual results.
And can you tell us a little bit about some of the different industries where you've had success with this work?
Many, many industries. So the reason why I laugh at this is because for so many years, we've been doing this for 23 years, and we've been told niche into an industry. And what we have found is that any human being who wants to be a better leader, wants to have better impact, wants to feel good doing so, and actually wants enough for themselves at the end of the day for their families and those they love and they lead, anyone can benefit from this. And so industries we've worked with have been innovation and tech. We've worked with a trucking company we have doing this program right now. We've worked with construction. We've worked with law enforcement. We've worked with healthcare. We've worked with tech. We've worked with education, professional services, sales, marketing. I had the privilege many, many years ago of actually being in a think tank with the United States Navy, where I got to bring this work to Navy SEALs to talk about how their intentional energetic presence was affecting them in their own lives, but then also when they went home to their families and how they were processing through things. So really many, many different industries. What we have found is that it just depends on how we integrate the work into that industry so that we really meet them where they're at, so it's as effective as possible.
What IEE and GAWDA have a lot in common is a very heavy saturation of multi-generation family-owned and operated businesses. And a lot of the companies in your audience on June 4th at the Seven Springs half-day workshop will be from closely held, small, independent companies. Do you have any theories or really experience of how those types of entities can benefit from this type of work?
Well, I think that they can create change faster. I think that when I see a smaller organization, especially one that is that closely knit, smaller company, smaller business, the ability to create change and to create a positive impact, a positively contagious impact or culture, whatever it might be, is so much quicker than a large bureaucratic company. It's so much faster. So there's a couple things that come up for me when you ask that. It's one, the speed of which this work and what they're going to experience when we do the workshop together, the speed of integration is very, very powerful. If they do it, all you have to do is come spend a half a day with me. Come spend a half a day with me, be in a room with me, experience the content, experience it, do the work. We're going to do things like, really looking at what it's costing you in your company to not be paying attention to these things. We're going to look at some like hardcore statistics so that you can, for those of you especially that kind of need the science and the math behind it, we can give you some of that. But we're also going to look at some of the less traditional stuff that maybe you've never thought of in the past, which is probably could be a game changer. So the speed of integration that you can have in your company, being a smaller company, is huge. If your family, multi-generational, all that, this stuff is really important for family dynamics too. This stuff is very important for, not just your professional life, but your personal life as well.
Why might someone want to attend this workshop with multiple members of their teams?
Every single time I do a live workshop, the feedback that we get on the end was, oh, I wish I would have known how powerful this was going to be. If I had known how powerful this was going to be, I would have brought my entire leadership team with me. To the point that last time we did this in DC, we actually got somebody who was a little bit irritated that I didn't make a bigger call for it. We try as hard as we can to get as many people as in there as possible, but I will just say that proactively. The teams that IEP together, the teams that do this work together, the more you have doing it, the more you start to share understanding and language. And so therefore, little things, for example, like one of the tools we talk a lot about is that underneath every single complaint is just an uncommunicated request. Okay, so if you think about that, if I'm complaining that, George never responds to my emails or whatever, there's a really lovely request, which is, hey, George, can you please respond to my emails on time? It's subtle. It's really important energetically on a team. If I take this workshop and I learn some of these tools and I go back, just me going back and using them is going to have an impact. I'm going to feel better. I'm going to start to influence my team better. I'm contagious. People start to notice that and be like, but if I go back and I've got a couple teammates that are with me or my whole team has come, then now we all have that language. We're going to go that much further, that much faster.
We're so excited that this workshop on June 4th at GAWDA Seven Springs is being co-branded by our GAWDA young professionals. What might a young and emerging leader gain from work like this?
Thank you for that question. That one actually brings a little bit of tears to the back of my eyes, because what I see for our young professionals is that this work gives you a head start. But this information, this way of being, this way of thinking about leadership, this way of being so intentional about what you want to create in your life, so intentional about the impact you want to have in your career, being so intentional about how you're taking care of yourself so you have the energy and the stamina to actually lead in your career. The earlier you can get this, the better. So I think my quick answer is it's going to give you a really beautiful head start.
Anese, is there anything else that you want to leave us with, or any closing sentiments about your workshop?
I think I'm very much looking forward to seeing you, and just an invitation on the evening of the 3rd, to get a good night's sleep, drink a lot of water, get your rest, come in so that you can be fully present, and really absorb as much as you can. That would be my invitation. In the meantime, I can't wait to see you.
Thank you so much to Anese, Abydee, Marie, and Andy for taking the time to give us a preview of this amazing workshop. As a reminder, GAWDA's Seven Spring Regional will take place in Seven Springs, Pennsylvania on June 4th and 5th. Anese's half-day workshop, Contagious Culture, Contagious You, will kick off the conference from 8 to noon on Wednesday, June 4th. Registration for the event is open now and can be found in the description below. We also have a longer, unedited version of the interview with Anese, which you can also find in the description below. Again, thank you to Abydee for being the chair of this year's event, and to Marie and Andy, who are the co-chairs of GAWDA's Young Professionals Committee, for helping plan this great workshop.
Announcing CO2Meter's new gas equipment service offerings. From expert device maintenance and certifications to virtual consultations and in-depth safety training, CO2Meter is making it easier than ever to ensure compliance and a gas-safe culture in your establishment. Whether you're protecting employees, customers, or meeting compliance standards, we have everything you need to ensure optimal gas safety in your facility. Visit CO2Meter.com to start your gas safety services today.
Today's member news segment is brought to you by Anthony Welded Products. Check out Anthony's latest product offering, the 3-in-1 cart. Primary features of the 3-in-1 cart included zinc-plated safety chain, fast-action cylinder bed, and load and roll front casters. The frame comes in small, medium, and large to fit your exact size cylinders. Anthony offers a variety of wheel sizes and styles to fit your specific need. To learn more about this cart or about any of Anthony's amazing products, visit Anthony at booth 402 during this year's Contact Booth program. Anthony Welded Products, often copied, never equaled. We begin today's member news segment with 2 bits of sad news. GAWDA extends its condolences to the friends and family of Ryan Holman and Frank Middleton. Ryan was the fabrication shop manager at Lefeld Industrial and Welding Supplies. He tragically passed away on March 26th. Memorial contributions may be made to the Cancer Association of Mercer County or the Mercer County Civic Foundation by care of LaFeld Industrial and Welding Supplies Scholarship. Frank Middleton served as NWSA president in 1988 and 1989. He passed away on February 22nd. Frank is survived by his loving wife Mary, who relayed to GAWDA how much Frank cherished his time as NWSA president. Both Ryan and Frank will be missed by all who knew them. In happier news, the second quarter issue of Welding and Gases Today is online now and will be on site during this year's SMC in Dallas. Pick up your copy at the registration desk or click the link in the description to learn more. Central McGowan and Minneapolis Oxygen acquired M&H Gas and Midwest Hydro Testing. Holston Gases announced its acquisition of the propane business of Combustion Services Propane. Red Ball Oxygen moved to a new facility in Oklahoma City. The IBDEA announced the launch of its new IBDEAU Learning Center to elevate beverage and gas industry training. Registration is open now for FabTech 2025, which will be held in Chicago from September 8th to the 11th. To register for the event, click the link in the description below. Elite Cryogenics added Rob Spencer as its Northern Region Director of Sales. Mississippi Welder Supply named Lisa Loris as its new Operations Manager. Ray Murray welcomed Tom Nevius as its Mid-Atlantic Regional Sales Manager. Core Industrial Gases acquired Coburg Welding Supply. Worthington Enterprises rebranded its Viking cylinders to Regasco for the North American market. And finally, Equigas is celebrating its 8th anniversary in the United States and 40th anniversary for the company as a whole in 2025. To learn more about any of these member news items or to submit member news of your own, read the complete May 1st issue of the GAWDA Connection in your email inbox today or by clicking the link in the description below. GAWDA Media is the go-to resource for news and information about the gases and welding industry. Through our wide variety of publication platforms, GAWDA Media keeps our members up to date on all of the most breaking news, emerging trends, and member events in the industry. Want to get your company's message seen? We have a quarterly print publication, a twice-monthly newsletter, an online buyer's guide, and a twice-monthly news show. If it's happening in gas and welding, it's happening on GAWDA Media. Want to learn more? Contact your GAWDA Media representative today. And that's our show for this month. The next time we see you will be in person in Dallas. If you missed the SMC Preview Connection from earlier this week, click the link in the description below. The SMC Preview is a comprehensive sneak peek into all things SMC 2025. Also, make sure to download the official GAWDA SMC app in Cvent before you arrive in Dallas. The app is your lifeline throughout the show, so make sure that you have it on your phone before you leave for Dallas. We wish everybody attending this year's show safe travels. For all of us here at GAWDA TV, this is Steve Guglielmo signing off.